It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. This is an article that was uploaded from RT.com, as you see up there. U.S. national debt to skyrocket. Okay, International Monetary Federation, am I saying that correctly? Just the acronym for IMF. And what do you see right here? You see no other than Babylon the Great, ladening themselves with thick clay. Okay. And it's never good for a country to put themselves in debt because, which we understand, it's being done on purpose because they want to crash the dollar. Okay. Obviously, the more money you print, the less value the currency has. So they're just purposely printing and as they're printing, they're giving all these funds and all these monetary aids to Ukraine and to these different militaries and to these different agents that are operating over in Ukraine. And in the process, it's putting the government further in debt, which is leading to what? Devaluation. It's taking away from the buying power of the dollar. But okay, the U.S. public debt will continue to rise in the coming years. Yeah, see, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. Okay, and that's pride. Because hey, this could be the year that the Lord takes this kingdom down. Amid increased government borrowing, you see that? Borrowing of what? Printed money. The International Monetary Fund, okay, so I said Federation, it's actually the International Monetary Fund, said in its fiscal monitor report released on Wednesday, the IMF economists believe the rise will come partly because Washington is spending more on healthcare and Social Security. No, that's not why. It's because they're giving billions of dollars in aid of weapons to Ukraine. That's why. Okay? It ain't got nothing to do with no healthcare or Social Security. That's just a smoke screen. Okay? A lot of this money is really going towards hundreds of billions of dollars being sent to provide weapons to Ukraine. And not just weapons, tanks, Patriot missiles. And those things cost money. Okay. So it says, as well as clean energy projects and other domestic economic policies. See, and that's BS. They totally lied right there. Talking about because Washington is spending more on healthcare and Social Security. Nah, that's not why. That's not why. It's because they're spending more on those expensive weaponries which they're sending to Ukraine. The U.S. debt to GDP ratio is projected to be 122.2% this year, just slightly above 121.7% in 2022. It is expected to rise further to 136.2% of GDP in 2028, up from 107.4% in 2018, and higher than the Soviet pandemic era peak of 138.5% in 2020, according to the International Monetary Fund. Okay. The agency noted that the U.S. and China are the two main drivers of the global increase in public debt. It cautioned that expanding government borrowing and spending could exacerbate inflationary pressures, undermining the efforts of the central banks. Okay. By the end of our projection horizon, 2028 public debt in the world is expected to reach almost 100% of GDP. The head of the IMF Fiscal Affairs Department, Vidar Gaspar, told the Financial Times, adding that this is back to the record level set in the years of the pandemic. And I mean, there's really no need to read it. The point is that, they're laden themselves with all this heavy debt. Furthermore, we come over here to Habakkuk 2:6, right? It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay." You see? And when you look up that word clay, which we've looked up plenty of times before in the past, that word clay there is ibadyat, which is what? Debt. And this country ladens itself with thick debt. Okay, so how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And this country is lading itself with thick clay with all this continuous printing and the borrowing of money to fund this war that's going on down in Ukraine. Okay, and that's what a lot of people are saying here in America. Like, well, what are you doing? You putting yourself in thick debt, but then you turn around and you complaining about that, in which it's all BS anyway, because the so-called elites, they can actually bring this country out of debt if they wanted to, but they choose not to do it because they want to crash this dollar. Why? So they can bring in that micro CHIP, okay? Because they ultimately want to have people CHIPPED. That's what it really boils down to. But with that, I'm going to say shalom. So on to the next one.